Hi all, my name is Miriam Mortel, and I am the author of the book Lessons in Law of Attraction. I decided to finally show my face on here because, I know when I watch YouTube videos, I want to connect with who I'm listening to, and I want to be able to help as many people as possible. That's the entire reason why I wrote my book, why I created this channel, is that I'm just someone who went through a lot in my life. I searched for a lot of answers. I found a lot of answers, and I'm giving over those answers to you to save someone else from doing that same work. So let's talk about law of attraction for a second. What is it? Why am I talking about it? How's it going to really help your life? Okay? Law of attraction is basically what it sounds like. Okay? That we're always attracting to ourselves whatever we're thinking about in life, right? Whatever our dominant thoughts are, how we feel about ourselves, whatever current energy level our vibration's at, that's what we're attracting. That's what we're literally bringing in from everywhere and everyone in every circumstance, whether it's money, relationships, health, right? Every single thing is a reflection of us, of our inner world, of our thoughts, of our feelings. So I know that there's a lot of stuff online about law of attraction. There's a lot of techniques. I'm not into those techniques. I'm a no BS kind of girl, honestly. So hopefully I will find my tribe of people like that. I just want to know what works. What really works is changing your thoughts, okay? Because we're always getting, again, a manifestation of what we are. So in my personal journey, I went through a lot. So I went through a lot of trauma, a lot of pain. I had just horrific things happen. And everyone else, I'm not the only one. The people who've been through, of course, worse things even than what I went through. But in those times, I cried out to God. I cried out so much, and I begged for answers, and I begged for things to get better. And that's when God led me to all this information. So God leads me to all this information. And I remember feeling so confused. So I was finding things like Abraham Hicks. Actually, my first thing that I actually ever found was Louise Hay. So I talk about Louise Hay in my book, right? And Louise Hay is the poster mother for self-love for anyone who doesn't know. She wrote some amazing books, two of which are You Can Heal Your Life, and I think it's called The Power Is Within You, something like that. And look up Louise Hay on Amazon. Do yourself a favor, Barnes & Nobles, wherever you shop for books. Okay. That was my intro to all of this. And she never says law of attraction, but she does introduce you to the fact that your thoughts create, which is what this whole thing's about. So I was listening to Louise Hay, and I was reading Louise Hay's books, right? And I'm understanding self-love, and I'm understanding I'm supposed to be working on self-love. Didn't really understand what that is, and as I wrote in my book, if anything, I thought I loved myself too much, but that was the ego talking. Self-love, what I realized is, this is God willing going in the next book, which I've been working on, is that it's a lot of things, but if you really want to gauge about how you feel about yourself, it's how you sometimes also think and feel other people feel about you. That's also a reflection of your self-love, right? So I can say, I love myself, oh, I'm great, but if I think, oh, no one sees it, that actually shows me I still have a self-love issue. So to me, self-love is really confidence, amongst other things. It's a lot of things. It's not for this video. I can do a whole separate video on self-love. And it's a continuous journey. It's a process. But in general, I would say self-love is acceptance, self-confidence, just owning your stuff and owning that you are not perfect and loving yourself anyway. It's voluntarily choosing to see your good qualities. You're not ignoring your bad qualities, but you're saying, hey, you know what though? I may have these bad qualities, but maybe 30% of my personality, maybe not the best. Personality, whatever I'm dealing with in life, not the best. But hey, what about the other 70%, right? And so self-love is that full, not only acceptance of self, but saying wow, I am amazing, I'm special, I'm worthy of love, and really feeling good about yourself from the inside out. Because the thing is, people aren't going to mistreat you when you have that. but I had to learn that. And I wrote this book while on my journey, and it's a lifelong journey, but I mean, I was in the beginning of just starting to understand what self-love is. I start off my book, so I want to actually shift gears for a second. I want to talk about my book. I start off my book with an affirmation from someone named Jacqueline. Now, I met Jacqueline on my journey. It was a crazy story. You want to know how, God conspires, people say the universe conspires to just bring everything together. In my first full-time job, I was selling wellness products and services, okay, for a small startup. And I was reaching out to local wellness vendors. I randomly found her online. And one of my jobs was to help people on the website articulate what they do in like a short, concise, just, little blurb, right? And she does something called Body Talk, right? So just if anyone is interested, whatever it is. That gets a whole long thing, but basically, Body Talk using muscle testing is there's more than one modality where you can use Body Talk you can muscle test rather to basically tap into your subconscious mind to get answers for certain things, and just Google Body Talk, okay? But anyway, so I helped her, do the write-up, and she always like stuck in my head. Then I had shifted gears. I started a career in the financial industry, and not in my first job, but my second, which I'm actually still at today. I mean, to this day, which I've been for 6 years. But when I first started at the company that I'm with, I went to this wellness expo. Okay, sorry, it was like a health and wellness expo, something like that. And it was a business expo. Sorry, it was a business expo. All of a sudden, I start to really not feel well. I'm with a coworker, and I said, I need to find another mat to sit down. I don't know what happened. I got so dizzy. So, my coworker, he pulls me to the side. I sit down at his table, and all of a sudden, Jacqueline walks in. And I'd only seen her from her picture online. And usually I can always tell if it's like, is that the person? You look at someone's picture and you're like, is that the person? Is that really her? It was her. I said, Jacqueline? And I told her who I was. Because she had never also seen a picture of me. She didn't know what I looked like. She gives me a hug like she's known me forever. And she's one of these souls, whatever. So that's what I got to know her in person. I started working with her and whatever it is. And when I started working with her, she gave me a set of self-love affirmations. And that is what I put in my book. And I'll read you the affirmation. The affirmation is, I love myself unconditionally. I forgive unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. I feel myself loving myself unconditionally. I forgive myself unconditionally. Thank you, thank you. And I start off with that, and it's really interesting because a lot of my readers, they've talked about, how my journey, because I share my journey in my book, how it's helped them in their own journey, okay? And, I wrote this book. It's not just about what law of attraction is. I have that too. I have, what's up with manifesting? What's vision boards? I go through the basics of what law of attraction is. But I talk about my journey. I talk about, what it's like being, for me, I'm a Jewish woman, what it's like, looking at this from the Abrahamic religion perspective and finding out that it all came from our stuff, right? It's like I was starting to say, I learned from Louise Hay, then I learned Abraham Hicks, right? Because I remember who it was. I don't remember how I learned about Abraham Hicks. Somehow I learned about Abraham Hicks. Several people told me about Louise Hay, and I was like, I knew when something was being mentioned to me and it's random, like 3 times by different people, like that's God speaking to me. So if it happens to you, like it's something really random, that's usually God trying to get your attention. At least that's how it is for me. But anyway, so what was I saying? A text came in and just distracted me as I was recording this. Okay, let me get myself together. It's hard when you do these things in one shot, by the way. It's like my first time doing a video, so bear with me. So it's about Louise Hay, and also about Abraham Hicks. I don't remember how I got to Abraham Hicks. And then basically what happened was I had decided, so I was just confused. Like I was like, where's this coming from? And I went to one of the local rabbis in the community, and I was like, what's this thing that I'm learning that our thoughts create? And the rabbi says, yeah, there's something in Kabbalah about that. just like all nonchalantly. Like, I should have known it came from our stuff, right? And later on, actually, after writing this book, I also found out about Neville Goddard, who learned his stuff from a rabbi, his stuff on Kabbalah, whatever it is. I think some things get mistranslated, whatever it is, but I'm not a Kabbalist, I can't speak to that stuff. But bottom line is, our thoughts create, okay? So it's not just like this out there, this out there concept. It's like when we're made in God's image, we have a lot of power, more than we know. It's because our thoughts create. So it's really, really, really important that we're careful how we're steering our ship, because we're always going somewhere. And if there's different ports we want to go to, different destinations, things we want to manifest, positive or negative, we have to choose to like actively take control of that. So in my book, I talk about that, right? And I talk about no matter where you are, you can reroute. Even if you've been stuck thinking negative thoughts, whatever, you can always reroute from where you are. You don't have to start from the beginning. Just reroute, refocus yourself on where it is that you want to go, okay? And, so I talk about, that rerouting, but I also realized by the end of my book that even if you can think so positively, if you don't change yourself, you're not going to change your life. That's where this book ends. Sorry, spoiler alert. That's where this book ends and the other book picks up. But this book will get you guided on your journey, and I've included my personal journal pages in this book. So you can get a head start, on your own journey. And then, God willing, when the next book comes out, continue it. But I'm also decided, let me not wait till the next book comes out. I want to do these videos. I want to guide people. I want to help people. Also, in case you're wondering, just a little funny side note. If you're looking at the stuff behind me, 1 second, let me point to it. Right here, this was a gift from someone actually, unfortunately, since passed away years ago, but I absolutely love it. It says, "Stress is just dessert," spelled backwards. Anyone who knows me knows that that's the perfect thing for me to have in my room. And this, it's so weird because it's like backwards on the video. Here in the frame, if anyone knows comedian Gabriel Iglesias, that's something else I manifested years ago before I even knew what manifestation was. So, he goes by Fluffy, right? By the way, if you haven't seen him, YouTube him. He is freaking hilarious. And I got backstage because I baked a lot. That's the reason that's also funny, because I'm known for my baking. Just separate side note, love to bake. So I'm always bringing stuff to people, or if people are coming over, they know they're getting fed something good. So anyway, I made this like funny thing on Photoshop, and I spoofed Fergie's cover of Fergalicious, and I turned it into Fluffylicious. Anyway, he signed it for me. That's on my wall. And then it's a little crowded because I put this wreath thing up here. Pandemic hobby was like making wreaths, floral arrangements, things like that. So like you have an idea of like everything in my background shows you a little bit about me, plus even kind of the types of books that I read. You'll get an idea of who I am. Just my background. I wanted to address that because I'm always kind of looking like, what's that? And this over here is a very fun game, but a little bit inappropriate, that one of my best friends got me. So there's that. But the whole point of this video was, again, to give you an intro of who I am. I had created a bunch of videos, without showing my face, talking about my opinions on things, but I wanted to share my why, right? My why is I want to uplift people. I know how much I need upliftment. I know there's so many people who need some sort of upliftment. They need hope. They need to know life can get better. There are people who are suicidal. There are people who are dealing with depression, can't get out of bed. And I'm like, if I could help reach those people, if I could give them hope and let them know that, like, not that anyone wants to hear that a lot of their life circumstances or things they manifested. I'm not one of these people who thinks everything is. There are people who think that, and I think that's a horrible thing to say to someone. But my point is, regardless of how it got there, who did it, you can undo it. And it's not just about changing your thoughts. It's primarily changing your thoughts, but it's changing your thoughts to change yourself. And when you change yourself, that's when everything changes. Just think of it this way, right? The person who is broke and lonely isn't going to become super rich and happily married in that same state, mental state of swimming in that feeling of I'm broke and lonely, okay? You have to learn to become the version of yourself that has what you desire. So one last thing is that in my book, I give the perfect analogy for anyone who's into football, okay? In football, I don't know what it's called because I watch football only because I manifested meeting Eagles players. That was my first vision board, which is kind of a fun thing. I tried out. It was to bring cake to the Philadelphia Eagles, in case anyone's wondering. I write about that in my book too, that vision board story. I just wanted to test it out, but it worked. But also because I think it's more of a decision-making tool. And then I had my mind on it, and then I was like, okay, I want this. Then my energy was focused. Then it manifested. So from that aspect, vision boards do work, but it's like not just from creating a vision board. Anyway, and there was usually, obviously there has to be an action component for something like that, like having a goal to bring cake to the Philadelphia Eagles. Only because, as I said, I love to bake, and I want to test this out in the most random way. But anyway, I call myself a reverse football fan. I don't know much about football. I know what a touchdown is, but I don't know what this particular play is called. But they do this thing, it's like a spin move, right? They're trying to get yardage, so they're trying to go down the field. And so let's say someone's after them, they do something where they kind of spin, they hold the ball, right? They spin around. And then it's just enough they can get over the next yard line. So instead of it being however many feet before, it's like they get to the next yard line, so they get that yardage and they get to start their next play from whatever that line is. To me, the gradual shifting, that's what I talk about in this book, is just like that. It's just like that. It's not that we suddenly jump and say, oh yeah, I'm suddenly the person who's, rich and happily married, when previously, like 5 minutes ago, you were broke and lonely. You gradually shift into that version of yourself. And as you shift, you become the vessel for all the blessings you want to receive. And that vessel gets bigger and bigger and bigger because God really does want to give us good. But he wants us to feel worthy of it. This is like in my experience. Like I went through so much hardship, believe me, and I don't want to put my dirty stuff on, not my dirty stuff, my dirty laundry, whatever is on here. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about what happened to me. The whole world doesn't need to know that, okay? But I would just know I went through a lot. But what I went through really prepared me to be able to receive more blessings. I also believe what I went through, was helping me to become who I am, my mission in life. And that's to help people and to uplift people. And that was the other reason why I said, you know what, I'm going to be there. I'm going to show my face. So I could use some feedback. Let me know if this video was good. I'm a little nervous, in case you can't tell. But, hopefully you learned something. If you want to learn more, my book's available on Amazon. Okay, easiest way to find it, just Lessons in Law of Attraction. You'll have, if you type that in, you might get a lot of Law of Attraction books. But if you type in the spelling of my name, Mir Mortel, you'll find it right away. I also did write another book for anyone who's confused, because I have another channel called The Kosher Coupon Lady, so I also teach people how to save money. And I wrote a book aside from this title, I Don't Have Time to Save Money. That was my first book. And I was actually working on the sequel to my first book. I was like a third of the way done. And I literally heard this intuitive voice tell me, it sounded like me, but like a gender neutral version of me. But like I didn't physically hear it. It was like this intuitive voice. I don't know how to explain it. And it said to me, you're going to stop working on this book and you're going to work on the other one. And that's when I was just thinking about writing a book on this and my story. And I really feel like that was God speaking to me. Because I've heard when people say when God speaks to you, it sounds like yourself. So whatever it is, I followed the advice. And a lot of this book even, I feel like I can't even take credit for. I felt like there were times like I would just put my hands out to the keyboard of the computer and words would just flow through me. And so, this book I feel like is, God willing, one of my gifts to the world, and God willing, not the last. But, it's just, I want to help so many people so they don't have to struggle. So they know there's hope. And I know I said that before, but it's so close to my heart because for every person I get to uplift, I get to change their life. And I want them to know, like, things can change. And yeah, it's not that reading a book is going to change your life. It'll start the process, it'll plant a seed. It's what you do with it after you read the book. That's why even with manifesting, there's always an action component. So it's not about these crazy little techniques. I see, this like 369 method, or the, people say, even, yeah, fine, the vision boards, whatever it is. It's like, if you want to do it for fun, that's fine. But it's about changing you and healing you. You're not changing who you are. You're just becoming a better version of yourself. And so that's my message. And I hope this was helpful. And I hope that God willing to be creating a lot more really fun, helpful, enlightening videos for you. And if nothing else, I really hope you enjoyed seeing the fun stuff I have in my room now that I finally showed my face. So I will talk to you later.